Group 2 in the South American World Cup qualifiers is approaching its climax. Indeed, here in Barranquilla, Colombia, it could well be decision day. A draw here for Paraguay would clinch top spot. If Colombia win, it's a different matter altogether. The last group match, when Paraguay go to Ecuador, that would hold the key. Paraguay have won their 2 home games. Colombia have taken their 3 points from their matches with Ecuador. But whoever wins the group still faces a playoff against Israel, the winners of the Oceania section, before a place in the World Cup finals itself is guaranteed. Well, Paraguay come here without their goalkeeper Chilavert, who was the hero of the win in Asunción against Colombia. He's suspended, having been sent off in the previous game, and Roberto Fernandez is recalled. He's not short of experience. He played in the World Cup finals of '86, along with most of today's Paraguayan lineup. As for Colombia, they make 3 changes from the team that were beaten in Asunción. Villa, Gomez and Hernandez come into the starting lineup. The number 14, Alvarez, was red-carded in that game, but he served his suspension and he's back for this one. The referee comes from Uruguay, Cardelino. Well, Colombia can't guarantee winning Group 2 if they do win, but they know that anything less than a win, and Paraguay have got that top spot. So it's quite a straightforward scenario here. Colombia have to force the pace, dictate the tempo of the game, and it will be interesting to see what sort of ambition Paraguay show, whether they come here simply to defend and hope to get through the 90 minutes without their barriers being broken down, or whether they adopt a positive approach which is in keeping with the way they have played their football. And they do have, as I say, a team packed with World Cup experience. Most of this side were in the squad in Mexico in '86. The first shot comes in on the goal guarded by Fernandez from Gomez. From Colombia's midfield, it was a fairly tame effort. Paraguay lucky to have a capable replacement for the colourful Chilavert, who will remember this sequence of World Cup games for the rest of his life, for the ups and the downs. Here's Núñez, the grey fox in midfield, wearing 10. Indeed, the Paraguayans have changed the numbers around a little bit from the team lineup that we gave you right at the outset. Hernandez getting in behind Cáceres for a threatening moment then. So a corner to Colombia, to be taken by the influential midfield player Redín. Comes out as far as Villa, and now Hernandez. Good blocking by Paraguay again. Valderrama, will he settle for the corner? No. And it comes towards Hernandez once more, off the back of Redín's head. Iguarán is there. Escobar, Hernandez taking over. Well, it's just the sort of start that Colombia will want to mount here. They have to disconcert Paraguay on the field, as the crowd are trying to do it with their hostility to the Paraguayans off the field. The memory still fresh of the incidents in the last few minutes of the game in Paraguay, when Colombia were on the verge of collecting a draw, which would have put this match into totally a different perspective. And it was Higuita here, this goalkeeper, who is so adventurous. Just look at him now. He gave away the penalty and then suffered the ignominy, and it must have really pained him further to be beaten by the goalkeeper from the other end, Chilavert. Gomez. This is Villa. On the gallop. Hernandez taking over. Running into a crowd though. And Paraguay are sure to pack their defence whenever they can. In theory, they're leaving two quite pacey players up front. Pereira and Mendoza. And Higuita acting as the sweeper then. And that might not be the last time he has to do that. Romero wearing his usual number 8. Well, there are jeers every time it goes wrong for Paraguay. They've got to be strong of nerve here. It's going to be a difficult experience for them, but the prize at the end of it is a tremendous one if they can get through relatively unscathed. The draw is enough, remember. That will mean the playoff games against Israel. But Colombia will have their say with Valderrama. But for the moment, Fernandez being given a fairly comfortable ride. It's early days. And no nonsense about the tackle by Perez. That was really out of keeping with even the context of this game. It was over the ball. And Palacios is the player who's hurt. Romero trying to take the free kick quickly and just hanging it up a little too high. Paraguay have left out the 17-year-old forward Nefa, who's been a real discovery of 1989 for them. He's on the bench. Nunes. And again it's Perez going in abrasively. But maybe Paraguay can hit on the counter-attack here. And this time the culprit is the centre-back, Luis Pereira. And the Uruguayan referee wanting to keep the game flowing. It's not going to be easy in these circumstances. And Romero just flexing the hamstring there. Paraguay won't want to lose his considerable influence. And they are showing signs, as the Colombian coach Maturana will readily appreciate, Paraguay showing signs that they want to get a goal for themselves. It's certainly not going to be an out-and-out attacking performance from them, but they want to keep Colombia occupied at the back and stop players like Valderrama running free. And Hernandez here, well stopped by Fernandez. And that was the most awkward moment for the Paraguayan goalkeeper so far. A header from Escobar, but Hernandez, the number 11 for Colombia, who was only a substitute when the two teams met in Asuncion, but came on to play a part in the equalising goal by Higuaín. He's been well to the fore here, and this is Higuaín himself. Oh, and it almost reached Hernandez again. Another corner to Colombia. The back heel by Villar, but the shot by Reddin was way off target. 0-0 coming up to 9 minutes gone, and I think viewers and the spectators here will have now got used to the mass of red on both teams' shirts, the shorts of blue, and clearly in South America the regulations about clashes of colour aren't quite as strict as they are in other countries around the footballing world. Sense of adventure shown here by Perez, taking on Nunes, and it looked as though he would get past him, but Nunes was able to just stretch out a leg. It's pushed the ball behind though for another corner. Escobar right in there. Alvarez finding his goalkeeper in his way, and look at this. Well, the best thing for Colombia surely is to bring on the reserve goalkeeper and put Higuita in midfield. He is their penalty taker as well. Got a goal in the recent South American Cup on the penalty spot. Paraguay quite entitled to play it back when they can. And they work it back again through Cáceres. Colombia, of course, who wasted their best opportunity to qualify for the World Cup 4 years ago when they were, or had been invited to be the host nation, and then in the end abdicated from that responsibility because they felt the country couldn't cope with such a massive international event. But their supporters are believing now that they've got a team that can get there by the means of qualification. But they need an early strike to unsettle Paraguay here. Perez. Alvarez coming across with the tackle. And the foul, in fact. Despite those scenes at the end of the game between these two countries in Paraguay and the sending off of Alvarez for a bad tackle on Nunes, the players in that match conducted themselves pretty well given the circumstances and the Latin temperament. It'll be a test though of their behaviour in this match, with definite decision, a strong possibility. But certainly both Paraguay and Colombia have made great strides in challenging the traditional might in South America of Brazil and Argentina and Uruguay. Hernandez. Alvarez. Another cross from Perez, but they can't find Higuaín. And he's in tremendous goal-scoring form at the age of 32, wearing number 16 for Colombia. But they'll have to improve the ball into the penalty area if they're really going to put pressure on Hernandez and the Paraguayan defenders. Gomez going outside him. It will have been a Colombian throw, but it's gone the other way. Palacios in difficulties. The incident. Good running here by Hernandez, away by Delgado. Alvarez. Aware that he can save a few precious seconds by taking up that station outside his penalty area. But the longer the game goes on, the happier Paraguay will be, as long as it stays at 0-0 as it is. Paraguay have got through the first quarter of an hour. They qualified in 1930, 1950, 1958 and 1986. And that's quite a good achievement by a country with a population of only around 3 million. Villa. Oh, well caught by Fernandez. It was a precise cross in, and the goalkeeper went for it, and once he was committed, he really had to make sure that he hauled the ball in. And Fernandez already looking a pretty formidable barrier for Colombia to try and get past. Well, it may well be that Paraguay will have to make an early change. For the meantime, though, they've got a free kick, although they're down to 10 men. And that's not the most convincing wall I've ever seen. Can they find the gaps? Núñez. Zavala is there, Mendoza is there as well. And now Núñez is going to get a yellow card for wasting time. And the referee, aware that time can be used up in every circumstance, even when Paraguay are attacking as they are here. Núñez looks baffled by it. The shot from Mendoza took a deflection on the way through. Alvarez. Caceres with a throw. Played back though to Escobar, and Colombia must strive again. Confirmation there of the yellow card for Núñez. Valderrama. And Redin took the shot quickly, and it was the bounce that was the biggest problem for Fernandez. The ball almost spat up into his face. And he did very well to field it cleanly. This is better from Colombia now. And Redin making it difficult for the Paraguayan goalkeeper Roberto Fernandez as Higuita gets into the act again. Very reluctant to use his hands. Nunes. Villa with the throw, taken on by Alvarez. That's a very ambitious pass, and it didn't really stand a lot of chance of coming off by the direct route, but the ball presented back to Paraguay. Can Higuaran keep it in play? Well, he did, to force the corner. Corner to Paraguay, to Colombia rather, and Paraguay had pulled everyone back into a packed penalty area. Colombia still, though, unable to make the breakthrough that would mean so much to their World Cup hopes, and they will be desperately looking to send Paraguay off to Ecuador for the final game in the group, still needing to get a point. And of course, if Colombia can win by a hefty margin, they could possibly make it that Paraguay would have to go to Ecuador and win. But Paraguay again showing that they can be menacing on the break. It's only another opportunity for Higuita to show off his ball skills. Really is a goalkeeper of real personality and bravery. Some might say foolhardy, but goalkeepers have to be slightly crazy in any case. Villa. Redin stopped by Nunes momentarily. Here's Alvarez wanting to play it to the right, and Perez that time was a little slow to appreciate the position. And that's used up a bit more time for Paraguay. Here's Gomez. Told by Alvarez to play it to the left, where Villa starting to make some useful runs forward from left back. And his pass was anticipated, but he's won the ball back with Zabala drawn out of the centre, and a good deep cross that had Fernandez concerned, and Torrales knocking it behind for the corner. Juan Torrales at 33 with a whole catalogue of international appearances behind him. And it's that depth of experience that Paraguay are calling on throughout their side to withstand Colombia's attempts here to put them under even more pressure. That's going to be a free kick in Redin's favour. Foul on Redin, Bernardo Redin, who shares star billing in Colombia with Carlos Valderrama. Hernandez, as Paraguay are going to have to make a change. Way off target by Villa, and they're going to make the switch between Nefa and Palacios. That will take place at the goal kick, although the officials were a little slow to realise what Paraguay's intentions were. Is there again. This is Villa. Romero. Mendoza. Trying to make progress down his natural left-hand side. Romero. The shot for Crush was way off target. But as the seconds tick by, Paraguay can start to feel a little more confident that they can survive the Colombian experience here. A country that's having its high-profile political difficulties, trying to get some joy from the achievements of its footballers. We're watching a first half here where Colombia are having more of the ball, but they aren't really able to put it to great use, and there is the danger that the ball might be stripped from them by one Paraguayan breakaway. Mendoza and Perez in that little duel on the far side. Mendoza again. Perez with a tackle again. It's not the easiest surface on which to pass the ball, or to be sure with the first touch, but look at Villa. It's a great break for Colombia here. Valderrama trying the return pass. Carlos Valderrama, who says he wants to go back to play in France when this World Cup campaign is over, which for him it is after this game. Unless, of course, he has to be recalled to play against Israel. It's French club Montpellier. Alvarez. Well, it was a strange ball back. Would have been easier to deal with a more conventional goalkeeper, but Higuita was already outside his penalty area and had to sprint back into it. There wasn't any risk of an own goal, but of an embarrassingly conceded corner. Hernandez. Well, the klaxon sound, the crowd do their best, but it hasn't gone the way that the Colombians wanted thus far. Valderrama beyond the far post. Iguaran! Well, wherever he is, he manufactures an effort that's close to goal. Higuaín, who has been the goal-scoring maestro in these matches for Colombia, and it was a flick header there. He had a bit to do to get it past the goalkeeper and in, but it was a praiseworthy effort. Nunez with the tackle. It's that sort of resolve that Paraguay must maintain. And they did well in the '86 finals. They got through the group stage and then were eliminated at the first knockout stage when they were beaten by England. Hernandez. That's far too deep for Colombia. The bounce not easy to predict, which is part of the reason why chances are few and far between, but there was almost one then for Gomez, steaming forward from midfield. Morales with the throw for Paraguay. Still 0-0. And we might see a few more of those back passes as the match develops, unless Colombia can score. Paraguay have beaten both Colombia and Ecuador at home. Colombia were held in Ecuador. Valderrama, Redin. Well, so far Paraguay defending pretty well. Redin, but 90 minutes is a long time. Anxious to get on with it. 13 minutes to go to half-time, still 0-0. Nunez. Shoved down by Redin. Morales read the play well. And Paraguay well and truly settled into this game now. So any hopes of pressure bringing some early panic has gone for Colombia. It's down now to a straight test of skill and nerve, and whereas Paraguay had the early pressure to live with, at least in their minds, if not as the way it panned out on the field. The stress will get greater the longer the game goes on for Colombia, while it stays level. Ready. Referee in the way. Little 1-2 off the Uruguayan referee by Redin. He kept the ball. Gomez. That's a nice turn again by the lively Hernandez. Delgado, the bearded centre-back who plays for Independiente in Argentina. He did the defending that time. Alvarez. for the moment, the game being played totally in the Paraguayan half. That might change now. Ready. Gomez. Hernandez doing his best to give the midfield players an option further forward. And Nunes will want that from some of his teammates now. That was a delightfully executed little rolled pass to Ferreira. Nunes. And every jeer and whistle that you hear is music to Paraguayan ears. It's a sign of the lack of satisfaction from the Colombian fans. And Paraguay playing their best football of the match at the moment. It's not as penetrating as they would want, but it's at least taking the steam out of Colombia. Well, we might find Higuita going up for corners if it stays this way. That's good work by Higuita, tremendous acceleration. Headed back by Valderrama. Delgado got a foot to it, but just before that, Fernandez roared off his line to stop Higuaín, sending Colombia into the lead. This was the chance caused by his own acceleration. Headed back by Valderrama, and Delgado dealt with the danger the second time. It's Colombia's turn to pack their own penalty area. Well, Higuita taking a position at the moment in the centre of the goal. I'm not sure how much of it, how much of the ball he can see. Romero is there. So is Mendoza. And a terrific save by Higuita when the ball was finally clipped in by Zabala. Would have possibly hit the post or gone just outside, but Higuita couldn't be sure. Paraguay's corner. Extravagantly swerved in by Romero, but it swerved at the wrong time. René Higuita, once seen, never forgotten. He celebrated his 23rd birthday, not in the best fashion. That was the day of Colombia's defeat in Paraguay, when Higuita, as I said earlier, gave away the penalty, which cost Colombia the game and maybe a place in Italy eventually. Nunes not in a hurry with half-time beckoning. And the referee is not going to allow him any attention. We've seen all this before. And sometimes when the game is judged in a South American context, perhaps observers are a bit too lenient in their criticism. It's not the way the game should be played. If it was two European teams or Asian teams or African teams, the critics would be sharpening their pencils, and South American football should be judged the same way. It's just that so often there are the stoppages, so often there are major incidents of bad discipline on the field, and they seem to take it in their stride. It's easy to be lulled into the judgment that way. The game has certainly gone rather scrappy towards the end of the first half. A first half when Colombia started well. Paraguay had the free kick. Nikita uses the fist. And Colombia still have time before half-time to put together the one move, and it might only take one, to lift them to the top of the qualifying Group 2 in South America. To remind you, they have 3 points from 3 games, but Paraguay have 4 from 2. This is Colombia's last game. Paraguay's last game, lest you forget it. It's away to Ecuador. Well, Paraguay looking to counter-attack here. Mendoza feeling he was impeded just for a second, and then he hung his head as if to say, well, really, I lost the ball myself. Iguaran. You've got to hand it to Paraguay, though. This is a very difficult fixture for them, and they've been reasonably solid. Cáceres impeding Hernandez there. Now, will this be the moment that Colombia have been waiting for, from a free kick, as we move towards half-time? But they're quite happy to play it short and try and draw Paraguay out. Well, if there is going to be a breakthrough, Iguaran remains the most likely to supply it. And the ball returned by Iguaran to Fernandez with a little message: get on with it. He has gone on with it very well. Alvarez. Now Escobar. Will he take a chance breaking forward now? Certainly Perez has wanted to do that all the time from right back, but he took his eye off the ball, maybe wondering as to what he was going to do with the cross when he got the ball under control. In too much of a hurry, and Paraguay can use up a few more precious seconds with Perales at the throw. Villa. Delgado at his strongest in the air. However, Paraguay need to effect their clearances. They are being effective. Alvarez. Valderrama's been on the periphery of the game, really. Now, it's a free kick. Rather ruefully, Romero picks himself up. So, only just over a minute remaining, plus stoppage time. There'll be maybe a minute or so of that. And there's danger here. Paraguay have scored, and Mendoza has got it. in the final minute of the first half, and this is a goal which may well mean World Cup qualification. What a first half it's been for Paraguay. They've drawn the sting from Colombia and then found some venom of their own with the left foot of Mendoza. And it's almost silenced this huge crowd in Barranquilla. 1-0, and Colombia now really have to put their act together in the second half. Otherwise the Paraguayans will be celebrating here at the final whistle as much as they'll feel happy at the half-time whistle. But all credit to Paraguay, they defended well, and Colombia with a lot to do in the second half. A subdued atmosphere in Barranquilla, with Colombia losing a goal to Paraguay just before half-time. And there has been a couple of changes in the Colombian lineup during the break. On is the number 7, Usuriaga, who was a substitute in the first game, and Fajardo has also been brought on. And just looking around, and it's pretty easy to see that he's not there. Valderrama is one of the players who's gone off, and that is a surprise. Well, the key figure there is the last one, the goal for Paraguay, which makes the rest fairly incidental. Direct shots, 5 apiece. Here's the number 17, who is Fajardo. He's come on looking as though he's taking up a position in the centre of midfield. So Valderrama off, and it looks as though the other player who's gone is Gomez. So it's go for broke for Colombia now. Oh, and very nearly a policy that paid off with one of the substitutes, Fajardo, in a position here where a good volley might have brought Colombia a precious equalising goal. It went down into the ground and bounced over the bar. Not a decisive header by Delgado that time. So Usuriaga on for Valderrama, as we say. Well, sometimes just a change in personnel can lift the spirits. It might concern the opposition, although Roberto Fernandez is looking calm enough and hoping that he's got another World Cup finals to look forward to. And Paraguay at this stage sitting pretty. Well, Fernandez may have made some good saves, but his kicking has been poor. Perez with the free kick. Just to reiterate, if you've just joined us, a draw is good enough for Paraguay here in Barranquilla to take them into the playoff, with Israel, with the winners going to Italy. And they lead 1-0. The goal from Alfredo Mendoza in the final minute of the first half, to the consternation of the Colombian bench. Perez with the corner. Oh, and Fernandez didn't get it cleanly this time, but the fortune was with him. Higuita. Oh, now he could really be caught out, and the goal is open, but the whistle has gone. It didn't look too much of a foul to me, but Higuita clearly in a position where he had to get something, and the ball was played, for my money. Well, it's such a dangerous game that this goalkeeper, with his unconventional style, plays, and he rode his luck that time and got a free kick. Escobar. Fajardo. Well, you can sense the disappointment felt in this stadium. Not too many smiles on view on the far side. Perea. This is Usuriaga, blocked by Torales. And that's nicely worked by Romero, very nicely indeed. And he looked to reverse the ball back to the left and gave it away to Perez, who launches himself on yet another run down the right-hand side, with Usuriaga now for company. Fajardo, well, the shot was deflected. Well, Colombia have nothing more to lose by playing in a restrained way. They've just got to challenge Paraguay all the way now and hope that they might get a break or two in front of the Paraguayan goal. Usuriaga with a second chance. Fajardo, but the door was slammed in his face, and it can be brought out here by Nepa. And Nepa very nearly in for number 2. They applaud the work of Higuita, achieved in a more orthodox manner that time. Well, you have to praise little Hernandez. He's never stopped working. And he tries again from the corner. Perea, the number 15, is right in there. And Fernandez has lost it. He's out of position now. Can they find the right sort of shot? Again, Colombia fail. This time it was Usuriaga. Fernandez in a crowd that time, and he neither caught it nor punched it. It's just at this stage really where Colombia could use some really passionate support from their followers. Torales actually trod. Now, whether it was intentional on Usuriaga. If you look at it again closely here, he was late with the tackle and then stamped on him, and that's what caused the real pain. Nefer getting through a lot of work since he's come on as substitute. The 17-year-old who has impressed clubs like Juventus. The shot from Reddin. Fernandez right behind it. Relief for the whole of Paraguay. And it was one of the better efforts that Colombia have managed. Perez. Nunez stops him. They've had to readjust Paraguay since Palacios went off. The plan was to play with Mendoza and Ferreira as two pacey players on the break. But Nefer is an attacker himself. And Colombia will have to be alert not to be caught out by any sort of counter-attack. But they've got to take that risk now. It's no time for half measures here. Reddin. This is Fajardo. Fernandez. Iguaran! Another World Cup goal for his dossier. And Iguaran, who took over the captain's armband with Valderrama taken off at half-time, has done a captain's job here. It was a lovely ball in. The goalkeeper didn't do very well in truth. And you can't make slips when Iguaran is around. Arnaldo Iguaran, at 32, is still a high-quality international goalscorer. It's still enough for Paraguay, remember. But Colombia now have their tails up. And the Colombian television director making sure you see every frame of this goal from every possible angle. It means that much to the football lovers in this country, but there's still more to be done. But it's been a most commendable start to the second half from the home side, and how badly they needed it. And Paraguay's nerves will be jangling now. Their promising position is being threatened. Iguaran and Usuriaga there again. Still Usuriaga. It hit Delgado. Well, it was Iguaran who equalised, of course, in Asuncion. Only for that seemingly priceless goal to be devalued by that extraordinary penalty episode. No way out for Paraguay that time. When these two nations were paired together in Group 2, all the pre-tournament hype was really about how well matched they were. And that's the way it's turning out. Oh, we got a brief glimpse there of Valderrama. Not exactly drowning his sorrows, but certainly having some refreshment. But he's just a spectator now, but he will be as delighted as anyone. That's the way the group would stay if it stays this way. But that's just conjecture at the moment. But Iguaran is having a great competition. He's been in form just as deadly as at any time in his career, really. Fajardo goes down, and the crowd bellow for the free kick. The referee plays the advantage. And an advantage it really could turn out to be. Perez. Should be the ball of Fernandez. He'll be as happy to get it as far upfield as possible, but it's not much good if the ball keeps coming back. Under half an hour left. Paraguay look to the bench again. This is Redding. Suriaga. Caballero is warming up. Great work by Fajardo. The two substitutions have certainly pepped up Colombia. It's their best spell of the game. And coming on is Caballero, not Ferreira. But Nunes undoubtedly is the player being replaced. Rather reluctantly and wearily making his way off. But Paraguay need to stiffen things at the back. Colombia driving forward. Iguaran. Oh, and Delgado's in trouble. Suriaga could only cross the ball straight at the goalkeeper. Off goes Nepa. Fajardo. Foul by Ferreira. And a free kick to Colombia as they look to press home here from the amount of attacking football they put together in the second half. Whatever was said at half-time, it's done the trick. Necessity really the mother of invention here for Colombia. Suriaga. Alvarez. Fajardo inviting Osuriaga to get round the back. He's done that, and how did it stay out? It ricocheted off the goalkeeper. Perez tries his luck, and the ball's still in play. Villa's attempted cross. It's a corner now. Well, the key moment came rather before this replay. Away by Zabala, and that's a thoroughly nasty foul. It's brought the yellow card. But this was what they're still talking about in the ground, that the ball came off Pereira and hit Fernandez. Higuita this time allows the others to start the build-up, notably Perez and now Alvarez. Fajardo looked left, didn't like what he saw, and looked back the other way to Osuriaga. Not a penalty. Hernandez might do better, has done! Celebrations for Colombia, and Hernandez, a deserving scorer, but the referee also did well. He wasn't fooled by the dive there. Wave play on and awarded the goal straight away. Well, as I say, a dive, maybe it wasn't on that angle. It could have been a penalty, but it didn't matter within seconds. And he was moving at pace and perhaps fell over a trailing leg, but it mattered not for Colombia, because Hernandez has turned this game round now. Fajardo was the player looking for the penalty. Hernandez is the scorer. A good turn to make half a yard for the shot, and the shot was perfection. Well, what a change. In the first half of the second half, Colombia have peppered Paraguay and got their reward. Higuaín to equalise, Hernandez to put them in front. And Paraguay must come out of their defensive shell now if their World Cup progress is to be marked from this game. Defeat, though, isn't the end of the road for them, remember. It really sets up the last match, which is in Ecuador. The body check by Alvarez. Some local information given to you by the Colombian television director of programs that will come later. But what will come later in this game, who knows? It's had a dramatic twist to its plot. Fajardo. Eased on by Hernandez. Colombia still have a target to achieve, though. A win is essential, but a big win would mean an even better chance of topping the group when all is done and dusted. difference is inferior to Paraguay's. Valderrama is learning some harsh facts that Colombia can manage without him. And here's Higuaín. Well, the goalkeeper needed a bit of fortune at the end of it all, but he did enough to put off Higuaín. Alvarez wins it back, very purposefully. But Colombia a whisker away from a 2-goal lead. And who'd have thought this at half-time, when they were suffering in silence here, the crowd, having just seen Mendoza put Paraguay in front. Mendoza on the ball. Here's Torrales. The lunge there. They can't take the camera off Valderrama, but it was a foul by Perez on Nepa. Cadalino, first of all, checking on Nefa's state of health, but mostly telling him to get on with it. And there's no reason for Paraguay to delay now, except to protect their goal difference. Free kick in the end taken by Guash. Delgado is up on the far side. Mind you, anything can change with Higuita in the Colombian goal. He might let in a soft goal to Paraguay. He might give away a penalty, as he did when they met in Asuncion. He might storm upfield and get a crucial goal for Colombia. That's another dimension to a contest that's certainly had its appeal. Perez. Not an easy ball to deal with, dipping and curving a little. Torrales got his head to it. But Paraguay rather watching and waiting at times. This is Villa for Colombia. And now they'll get a free kick to buy themselves some time. Oh, and a slip by Pereira. All the good work of the last 20 minutes or so could be ruined for Colombia here until Alvarez restores some order. Help from Perez. Judged there by the substitute, Caballero. And Colombia are dictating the terms now. The crowd want more action from them, though. They don't want to totally pin their hopes on an Ecuador win. That's the way it would be if it stays this way. Ready, an electrifying burst. Sent a shock through Paraguay. And the whole balance of the match has changed, not just in the scoreline, but in the psychology of it as well. Paraguay, who put their passes together well in the first half, haven't done that since they've had their difficulties in the second half. But this might bring some promise for them, but there's an offside against Nepa. It's been a fierce match and it's taken its toll, I think, on both teams. Not just the physical aspects, but the mental pressure as well. Both teams have had joy and despair in the way the game has gone. One thing these South American World Cup qualifiers have taught us all: never accept the end to the story until the final whistle goes. There have been some very late shifts in emphasis. Fernandez annoyed with his kicking again, although that was one of his better efforts. Maybe possibilities for Paraguay here. They're starting to emerge from the shadows again. And Delgado, with his presence in the Colombian penalty area, just a barometer to that effect. Mendoza with the corner, and Higuita with a very safe catch, a very quick kick, and it was 2-on-2, so it was a good policy, although Paraguay dealt with it. Again, he's in behind Torrales this time. Oh, and a missed kick by Hernandez. In fact, there were players blocking any direct shot. He was trying to scoop it inside that right-hand post as we look from behind the goal. The left-hand post as he looked. So great play by Uzuriaga to set up the position. Here's Redin. Well, it's Hernandez again. He's had an excellent match, and if the records will show at the end of it that he's got the winning goal to his name, it won't be inappropriate. Ferreira. Nepa. First touch let him down. In fact, the whistle had gone in Colombia's favour. Well, Brazil are qualified from that explosive group. Uruguay have one more significant step to take, but they should be through. But Group 2 is going to hold the attention right to the very last kick, it seems. We thought we might have a decision here as to who would win the group, but it's looking less and less likely now, with Colombia moving towards victory. Well, the last 45 minutes of their World Cup programme, they've certainly given of their best, having performed below par in the first half here. But still there might be Paraguay powering back. Nefa. Away by Pereira. Ideally, Maturana, the Colombian coach, would like another couple of goals. Well, they're certainly making enough chances to give him some hope that that might happen. And Osuriaga, with his trickery for a tall man, has been a confident way forward for them since he's come on for the second half. But the tempo has slackened. Mendoza, who seemed to have set things up perfectly for Paraguay with that first half goal. Less than 10 minutes remaining. Paraguay trying to battle back from losing a grip on this game that was never a secure grip in truth, but certainly it was a strong position, even if their goal was against the territorial balance of the first half. That's the way football is played, and the counter-attack can be the route to glory. It's not going to be World Cup glory yet for Paraguay. It might still be for Colombia. But in all probability now it's going to take another game to give us the answer. The game between Ecuador and Paraguay to be played on the 1st of October. Ecuador not really also rans in this group. They're an improving, developing football nation. How much they've developed, we shall see. Here's Villa. Wants the return pass and has got it. The positioning in the centre now and the delivery of the cross is all important for Colombia. Iguaran. Paraguay defending well. They were really stretched. Fajardo. And the crowd willing Colombia forward. And then they groan in disappointment that the ball in was out of character with Colombia's football in the second half. For Paraguay, sensing that there could be still time with players like Romero capable of embarrassing Colombia right at the last. Romero tricking Perez and earning the free kick, which Mendoza will take. Paraguay put off by Colombia chasing out, and no one was prepared to run forward and try and beat the offside trap. Well, Colombia at this stage in the first half were racing about to get on with the game. And now they're playing like a team prepared to put their faith in Ecuador. As I've been stressing, they could improve their position with more goals. But of course, the risk now is not quite so necessary. They don't want to be caught out right at the last, at the end of the second half, as they were caught out at the end of the first. Fajardo, who's been very conspicuous in the second half revival. And Escobar and Alvarez between them, unsure as to what the best policy is. And maybe there's even a division in the ranks here as to whether Colombia should be going for broke or hanging on to what they've got. Higuita didn't like the challenge. Nefa. Played wide by Alvarez, and a useful ball it was too. Hernandez. Well, it was another moment that had the crowd on the edge of their seats. Lovely touch by Romero. Romero again. Delgado. Zabala. Across the back line it goes. Can Paraguay pinch a point here that would mean so many celebrations? That's the closest they've come. And if you are going to level it, the last minute is the best time, really. There would be no chance of Colombia recovering again. They've got a corner. They've got a lot of players forward. Higuita didn't get there, and well, if he's brave, fortune favoured him. But it was a rather foolhardy lunge off his line. And then Higuaín on the burst, almost finding a way through at the other end. That was a nasty collision at the end of a sapping game. And again, the referee is very concerned that the trainer shouldn't be allowed on. He's ruled with a firm hand here, Cardelinho. Higuaín really felt the buffeting, and I think the referee's got to allow somebody on to have a look at him. This is how it happened. The problem is, as Cardelinho will know, is if you let one trainer on, they come mob-handed. And it's a heck of a job getting everybody off. But by the explosive standards of these World Cup qualifiers in South America, this has been an orderly affair, and the referee must take great credit for that. So will it be the tall Escobar or the shorter Hernandez? It's Escobar, good save. If slightly showy. Fernandez wasn't too confident about the pace on the ball in, and just happy to push it aside to the relative safety of a corner. Redin not exactly rushing across to take it, but encouraged to do so by the referee. Escobar has stayed forward. Fajardo has come for the short ball. Redin trying to orchestrate the movements of his teammates. They work the corner short. And that's good work by Fajardo, great play. And it led to a strike on goal. So Redin, who seemed to be just happy to use up a bit of time, actually suckered Paraguay a little bit there. And in the end it was Hernandez, ever active, who thrashed his shot over the bar. Well, Paraguay came here to Barranquilla hoping to go away with a place in the playoffs to take on Israel. They hope to have that confirmed at this stage of the proceedings. It looked as though their wishes would be granted when Mendoza sent them into a lead at the end of the first half, but Colombia came out with a new and more fervent policy in the second half, and Iguaran and Hernandez turned things completely around. Back from Torrales, another check on the watch by referee Cardelino. He blows the final whistle. Colombia go to the top of Group 2, and Paraguay have a difficult trip to Ecuador now. They have to go there to win, and Colombia are celebrating here what they feel will be a place in the playoffs. Paraguay, who came out to defend their one-goal lead in the second half, but were caught by a revitalised side with two substitutes on, and Iguaran and Hernandez got the goals that meant so much to Colombia.